Seconds, Mike.
All right.
Well, we made a Panozzo somehow. It's been a long week, but did you get up in time to watch everything?
I did. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I got up early and check it out. Um,
it's been a long week, Mike.
it has been a long week, even longer because I've been wearing my good luck Shane Van Boening
He's
same
got
shirt, same shirt and sweater. I'm not changing. As long as he's winning, I'm wearing it. So I hope he appreciates it because the people around my condo here thinking I'm getting a little ripe.
yeah. Well, it happens, Mike. Yeah, but you're showing me how much of a true sportsman you are, true sports fan you are, because that's next level stuff.
It
See, like
is.
in baseball, where it's like I'm not changing my socks for a week or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But Shane's
Exactly.
on a run, Mike, and he's on a run and is made it to his destination, or at least close to his destination anyway, and that's in a world championship final.
Yeah, this is his third time he's been to the final. First time since 16.
Yep.
And, really, it's pretty remarkable. I mean, he's 38, coming on 39. Um, to still be playing at that level, to still be, one of the five most dangerous players in the world, is pretty impressive. And like he's said a number of times, it's hard to win tournaments.
Yep.
When there are fields like this, you can be the best player in the world. It's hard to win tournaments, and he's hung in there. He's had a couple touchy spots. He's had there was a couple matches where he wasn't playing as well as he'd like to play, but he battles through it, and that's the sign of a champion, right?
Well, there's a good percentage that says this is going to be the last world championship final that we're going to see Shane Van Boening in, just based from an odds standpoint. Not that he's not capable, but just of how difficult it is to go and have everything align right to be able to make it this far.
Yeah,
Um, it's 6 years removed since his last one. Competition's not getting any more shallow, Mike. It's only getting deeper.
yeah,
And it really just what makes this just completely special for me. And not only that, but the names that he's taken down along the way um, has been nothing short of spectacular for me. Um, yeah, I don't know what to make of it, Mike. I'm still kind of in shock of it all, because it's been so long, and Shane's always that, like, and if you go into it on paper, Shane's usually like top three at the most favorite to go in there, if not number one favorite to go and make it in there. Um, but Albin's playing some great pool. Albin looked like he was
yeah.
just, a man on a mission earlier today. But it just sets up for such an epic battle with just a number of different storylines between these two. Lots of history. I remember, I watched that final in 16. I thought what Shane did those back to back years was incredible. Not winning, but the fact of making it into two finals,
Yeah, sure.
and yet here we are with Albin making it in back to back finals, and what I think is, three times as deep of a field. And how incredible is that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, you look at Albin. This is his fourth final in 8 years. I mean, that's stupid.
Yeah,
Uh,
because he was also on the one with Niels, right, too?
correct. Uh,
Which one am I missing then, Mike? So we
I
got
think I think that was either 13 or 14
oh yeah,
that
so Niels, the one that he won against Shane, the recent
last
one. Yeah,
year.
okay.
So this is four finals in 8 years, which, man, that's
Wow.
how
Wow.
crazy is that? 8 or 9. I
When you
can't.
when you say that, Mike, that's pretty gross, man.
Yeah, it really is. It really is, and it shows how mentally tough he is, to get himself prepared for these big events that he does, clearly as well as anybody. He's proven that now. I mean, I always had a little bit of skepticism about Albin because he hadn't really, he won the world championships, but he hadn't really done a lot out of Europe in the big events. But in the last couple of years, he's proven that you know, he's one of the best players in a long time.
I tell you what, I mean, it's not luck if you're making it that deep and that consistently. You're doing something different than everyone else if you're having, um, if you're going that far, majority of the time, more often than not, rather. I never realized that stat, Mike. I mean, obviously I knew about the one with Niels. I know he also won a China Open, like right in that same stretch of years, in that same stretch of 2 years. because I remember watching that as well. And it seemed like that was the transition from, oh, that's Jasmine's brother, into, oh, that's Albin Ocean, for me
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah,
That's when he took that step.
yeah, yeah, for
But
sure. The interesting thing is, you look at his consistency and change, and they're both similar in really different ways. Where they're similar is they're 100% dedicated to the game. Shane does it by practicing like an absolute monster maniac. He'll practice to break hours and hours.
well, when he does practice these days though, Mike, that's the difference, because, these days he's got one foot in and one foot out. I mean, Shane 5 years ago, completely different though.
Yeah, yeah. But Albin, and Albin's like totally committed to it as well,
Right.
but in a way. I mean, he practices a lot as well, but he spends as much time on the mental side. He spends as much time on his physical fitness side. So he has kind of a different approach to that total dedication. But they're both kind of in that same strata of 100% devoted to preparing themselves for tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, the
Especially
you
on
know,
the big stages. Albert has said before, he goes to Euro Tour, he really couldn't care less. And in the last couple of years, he hasn't really done all that great on the Euro Tour, but he doesn't. I don't think he really cares. But when it comes to these big events, he dials it in, and Shane does the same thing.
well, I mean, we talk about the Mosconi Cup being the crown jewel, but when it comes to an individual standpoint, a 9-ball world championship is, the diamond up top. It just is. As much as I love the 10-ball world championships, and I know we're gonna have an 8-ball world championship this year, um, there's just nothing like the 9-ball has so much history,
Yeah,
and
that's what separates it.
yeah, absolutely, and it's just incredible what they've both been able to go and accomplish. But Albin's got some things on his resume that Shane doesn't, and vice versa. But one of them that Shane doesn't have is a world championship. And this is what makes me even more excited to go and see this happen, is the fact that he's got another shot and he's got a chance at redemption. And I don't know about you, Mike, but part of why I love sports is the redemption side of a lot of these stories that we get to go and watch, following these games that we do.
Yeah, yeah. Storylines are, always make it tastier, more interesting, and you become more vested in it. You tend to have a little bit more of opinion when there's, okay, this guy's looking for revenge, or this guy's looking to repeat, and this is this, and this. Great. This is, we talked about how the money match would have been Josh against Shane, but the best storyline for sure is Albin against Shane, for the
Well,
whole fact, the 2016 fact, the fact of Albin trying to become
right.
the first guy since Earl to go back to back, Albin becoming first guy since Earl to win three. So
There's a lot
there's
of layers here, Mike.
a lot of layers and a lot of really great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're just coming with the heavy hitters today, because you're spitting out all these facts like you've been covering this sport for the last 40 years, Mike. Things that I had never even took into account. But you're absolutely right, and I think this, for me, and I go back to it. What makes this even crazier is just how there's so many guys you have to go and dodge.
Yeah,
Every step of the way. It's not like the old days where there's a lot of dead money. Not in this event, there wasn't anyway. There was guys maybe on paper that were dogs, but then after a while, you realize that they're not dogs. They can all go and play, and with given the format. Um, but Albin is just next level for me. He just
yeah.
is, and I want to go and see Shane win. I truly, truly do, and I've been saying it for the last few days now. And you're right. I was hoping for a Shane versus Josh, but I don't feel any bit of letdown given the fact that
No,
it's Albin. And Albin did not go and cross the finish line just by crawling across. Shane kind of stumbled across the last couple of matches where Chang was on his heels. Alex got back into it. Shane may be able to start strong, but we saw whenever Albin played Josh that it don't matter how you start, because Albin can come with it at any point during that game.
yeah, and Shane knows that about Albin. I mean, I think Shane has a ton of respect for Albin as a player, and he knows that he's breaking great and he can run out, and so he'll know going into the final, and Albin will know the same thing: is you better not make a mistake, because this other guy is capable of firing 5 or 6 at you before you blink, and so that could be the the way the final goes. I mean, if Shane, it was interesting during the Shane Kazakis match how he broke dry twice, and Jeremy was saying, you know, it's a touchy subject because you don't want to get in someone's head, but you want to talk to Shane about maybe thinking of breaking the other side. And then the interview after the match, when Shane was being interviewed by Michael Bridge, he said the first thing he said was, "Well, I'm going to switch sides on the other side to break because."
Is that what he said?
Yes, he did. He said it was like the first thing out of his mouth that he's going to change the other side for the break.
Just how
Because,
much of a student of the game he is for him to have that kind of awareness immediately.
yeah, I mean, well, I was surprised he didn't change during the match. I just think that maybe he didn't want to change during the middle of a match that he was winning.
Guys
Uh,
can get stubborn though, Mike. I've seen pool players go and get stubborn when it comes to just sticking what's gotten them to that point.
right, right, and I think that could have been it. Had he been behind, I bet he would have changed sides. But he was ahead, and he was having some pretty good success on the break. So, but Kazakis was killing it from the other side. He got really, scratched twice. One was his fault. He went right into the side pocket, I think, and one he got kissed up in the corner at a really bad time in the match. He was
Right.
8 down, right, and breaking, and got hit, made 4 balls on the break, and got kicked up into the top corner with the cue ball. That
It
was
was
a brutal. That was a brutal roll for Alex. I felt bad for him. Uh,
I I did as well, and you're right. It's kind of hard because I mean, I was rooting like a fan. I really was. So a part of and but I like Alex personally. I do. I get along with him very well, and he's such a real nice guy. It's hard to like root against him, but
right.
my heart was rooting for Shane Van Boening at that moment when I saw it. When I saw it go off the side, and I'm like, get your ass in that hole, ball, get in the hole. And then I'm seeing the seven start to cross a little bit. I
It
thought
was
for
good.
sure
Oh,
it was yeah, I thought it was gonna get bumped and then it was gonna go and stay up, but it was very bittersweet. I tell you what though, what I loved was that aggressiveness by Shane. I don't think it was that right because of course he had ball in hand, but I think it was
that was actually 8-7. So then Shane went up 9-7, and that's when he broke and had that 2 ball
yeah.
to the side.
Well, he had the eight, hanging in the upper
Five,
right,
five in
and
the corner, right?
yeah, when I saw him go and swing at it, I was like, "There's no way he missed the ball that bad." Because Shane's pinpoint, Shane's on a wire, and so when I saw him just take a flyer like that, I was like, "What the hell is he shooting at?" And then I see, oh, the eight's going in, and then it opens everything up, and then it was a thing of beauty after that. I love seeing that aggressiveness because
Yeah,
Alex was going and starting to fight back. Alex wasn't dead. Alex wasn't tapping out. He was there swinging back with him, and I like that Shane had that killer instinct where it's like, I'm gonna put him away. This is enough because he's already at my heels when he had I think what like an 8-3 lead or something like that, and then he saw it just completely disappear.
yeah. No, it was that was just an amazing shot. And Jeremy and Carol talked a little bit before that shot about Jeremy kind of expected him to go for that hanger, to billiard off the two and go for that hanger, but his ability to do it in such a way that the two broke up the 3-7 or whatever it was on that long rail. To do that in one shot, and then he had a really tough shot. He got left with a really tough shot on the two. He had half a pocket on a
Yeah,
long shot to get that two past the six. And when you watch that replay from where the
the
camera
angle.
corner,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah, you saw it.
the six. I don't know how the six didn't move
Well,
because
I mean,
it went by it so fast. I would have thought that the air would have like moved it a little bit to the side.
I'm curious, and we haven't tried to reach out to Shane. We want to respect his, getting ready for the finals. So we'll just say that. But I was curious. I'd like to ask Shane afterwards though, because I think it was right. It was the rack before that where Shane had made a ball in the bottom left, and then he ends up scratching, and Alex goes for a really aggressive shot to go and open things up, and has to come with an incredibly tough out
Yeah,
after he opens it up. And then after that is whenever we saw Shane go back and be aggressive back towards him. So I wonder if there was like some, mental aspect of where it's like I gotta put him away.
yeah, yeah, possibly, possibly. And I love Alex. He's a
Alex
great.
showed a lot of heart though. I mean that
He
scratch
did
was
show a lot
brutal.
of heart, and he can win these tournaments. But this is going to sound harsh, but when I watch Alex in a big, tough match, close match like that, somewhere along the line, that last quarter match, I expect him. I still kind of expect him to make a little judgment error or a mistake or leave a safe a little bit loose or something like that, because you've seen it over time. And sometimes he'll get away with it and win, still win the match. But I thought there were a couple times where there was one time he played a safe, tried to play a safe on one. I think that I thought he was, I think Shane would have gone for the shot. There were just a couple instances like that where I thought, there's still a little bit of difference there between Alex and Shane's approach to, you know, finishing this match.
I mean,
I
if
like
if
chances.
if you look at it from like the grand scheme of things, you can really see them dance with each other, and just kind of pick spots of I'm gonna go and step forward. There's times where I'm gonna go and step back like you would go and see in a boxing match or a UFC
Yeah,
fight, whatever.
yeah,
Um, it's part of the beauty of it, and it really makes nine ball exciting. Um, I think that this ended up. I was afraid that we were going to end up having just a complete letdown when it came to the finals. When I saw the final 16, and I'm seeing some of these guys kind of just squeak by because I like marquee names, Mike. I like the
yeah,
the sexy fights. I just do, and especially when you have so much history, it just adds to it, like we talked about before. And it really just delivered. And kudos to, I mean, Matchroom didn't have their hands and who came out at the end, but just the overall how the product was delivered to everybody really came out. A little bit of a hiccup yesterday, but besides that, it was remarkable, fantastic.
yeah.
You know,
I thought they did a great job, and even the hiccup yesterday, I thought they handled it as well as you could handle it,
yeah,
as
yeah.
quickly as you could handle it. I mean, that's not easy to try to fix things, make decisions, move a table, and it set things back a couple minutes, but it wasn't bad. I think that they've done a great job. Um, the one person we haven't talked about yet is Kuwaiti Al Youssef. I mean,
Great
he got
tournament, Mike.
got kind of steamrolled into semis, which you thought might have happened, but good for him for making the final. I mean, 2 years in a row, a player from Kuwait in the semifinal, or better is pretty impressive.
It really shows the level of class of player that's in that region, and it's not just with guys named Al Shaheen, because there are a few guys who have been playing world class. Bader has been playing great. Al Yusuf has been playing great for a few months here in the states. Um, it wasn't just I'm gonna get on a little bit of a tear in one tournament. You've been seeing like the wave kind of coming a little bit over the last 12 months. Um, and you're right. It's kind of hard to say like I'm disappointed or it was a letdown. You ran into the guy who's been the most consistent nine ball player on earth for the last 2
Yeah,
years. Like
yeah,
there's no, and he found his punch, he found his break, he found everything. Everything came together for Albin. I was like in and out, Mike, because I'm so dead tired. And it's like I watched the first two, fell asleep for what I thought was like 5 minutes, and then I get up and it's like 6-0, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a bloodbath.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but to go and make it in there, you know what it does, Mike, is that it just that's a very that region has a lot of potential, and I'm sure Matchroom is very aware of that. So for them to have successes with players coming out of there, it can open up a lot of doors for the sport, Mike, a whole lot of doors.
yeah,
Um, I remember talking with Omar right after him making it into the finals, and just the amount of press and praise and just everything that he got after making it to the final. And I hope Al Youssef gets the same, because he seems like a really genuine guy. And what a great event for him, though, Mike. I mean,
yeah.
he
It
had to
was,
take down a lot of big names where he was a huge underdog on paper with those big names.
yeah. I mean, he definitely, was kind of the sleeper of the tournament. And every round, you kind of thought, well, this is going to be the round where his luck's going to run out. But it's not luck. He played great. He played great through the tournament. Did take out some big names. Got there. And yeah, I agree with you 100%. I hope that he gets the same treatment that Omar got. And I do believe that when two or three, four players like that from that region get to be consistently threats in a tournament, that all of a sudden, that region opens up to accept more pool competition, maybe. So yeah, maybe Matchroom does have some opportunities down there, because they don't feel like they're just inviting a bunch of other people from other countries who are going to dominate the tournament. That their players can come through. So that's a really good thing. A
Well,
lot
I
of
think
players.
like when you look at events like the World Cup of Pool, right, which I guess is as close to like a world event as we can go and have as far as teams. You want guys that, I mean, chemistry matters a whole lot in that format. Let me tell you that that's number one. But you at least want to have on paper guys who can go and play great pool, right? Because if you have some known, I mean, and this is what was really just mind blowing to me when it came to what Josh did last year with Christoph, because anybody outside of Germany didn't know who the hell Christoph was, you
Right.
know. So that was just special, very special. But it's like if you have three or four guys out of that area that can go and play pool, now you got a solid team going for the World Cup. You know, guys who can go and make a little bit of a run if they're going and firing on all cylinders. Um, yeah, it's just there's a lot of really great things to take away. And on the other hand, shout out to Alex because he showed all the fight in the world there after being down. It would have been real easy for him to kind of just be the Alex of old and just sweat and his face in his hands and just kind of just kind of be like a dog paddling in the water, just
Yeah.
scared to death. And
Yeah.
he really wasn't.
No,
He
no.
absolutely wasn't at
He
all.
played great. He played great and had a great tournament. Showed a lot of heart yesterday in his comeback against Oliver. You can tell he's more comfortable at the table in these big matches than he used to be because he knows now that he has crossed the finish line before in a big event. And so he knows what that feels like. He knows it's not going to happen every time he gets there, but it doesn't scare him anymore. And he really, really got
This is
unlucky.
what makes these events so sick, though, Mike. It's because, I mean, look at what had to happen for Alex to even get in that position. He
Right.
was down big. I mean, not big, but he was down, what, like 10-8, 10-7, something like that. You
Right.
know, golden break, a 9 ball dressed up. Like a lot of stuff had to really happen for him to even get in that spot. That you never know when you're going to get back to that dance. I mean, we've seen, I
Yeah.
can go on and name countless basketball Hall of Famers that have never, won a championship, football players that have never won a championship. It's like you never know when you're going to get in that position again to be able
Yeah.
to fight, you
No
know.
guarantees. No guarantees. They're deep fields, and the 9 ball's a tricky game, funny game, and anything can happen. So, yeah, it's been a great run, and really, like you said before, at the end of it, now when all the dust is settled, you have Albin against Shane the final. You're like, this is. It almost now when you look through the tournament, it's like God, it's a miracle we ended up with these two guys in the final because
It
there's
really is. And
there's so many
Telfer,
landmines and
uh,
potholes and all that along the way that upset the apple cart. It's just amazing.
yeah. Uh, Kudos to Jim Telfer for not never failing to miss an opportunity to say how much of a genius he is after the fact, because the guy's got no stones to go and fire on his
But did he
predictions
comment on?
beforehand. He did, yeah, for sure. But I mean, no, not in here, but no,
Oh,
in our group chat. But it really is something spectacular to go and see these names kind of just come out of nowhere, and not out of nowhere, but I mean like in the sense of having to fade so much, and then you end up with what basically is chalk, there at the end,
yeah,
because they were both top five favorites going into this
yeah,
128 player field easily.
sure.
Um,
And
but
they were in some tough brackets. I mean, there were Shane
right.
and Josh were in those two brackets that were clearly the tougher of the two quadrants of the four quadrants of the tournament. So yeah, those were rough rides to get through, and they both made it. They'll both play each other in the final. How do you see it playing out?
Well, real quick, because we get a lot of questions in the chat, I just want to let everyone know the final is going to start in 2 hours. So 11:30 Central, that'd make it 12:30 on the East Coast. So that's what time the final is going to start. It will be on DAZN. Um, I was gonna you beat me to it, Mike, because I was gonna ask you and really put you on the spot and be
I
like,
had to jump,
why?
I had to jump that one.
Yeah, why does Albin win? My heart wants to go with Shane. It really does. But what I saw of Albin this morning, it's going to be really tough. It's going to be very, very tough. If he can even get 60% of what he was able to go and do against Al Youssef, Shane might be in trouble. And it pains me to go and say that because I really want to see Shane get this world championship. I mean, for 15 years I've been saying Shane needs to win a world title. Shane needs to win a world title. Okay, he wins a world pool master. Okay, that's great, but it's an invitational. There's not the same caliber, of player. You got to do a lot more. I'm not discrediting any of those U.S. Opens. I want to see the guy win a world championship. I just do in my soul. I want to see him go and win one, and I want to see his emotion afterwards. I want to see him, what I expect. See him go and break down and be emotional. And Emily posted a picture, I think, on her Instagram of Shane, and you just see like this very genuine, kid-like smile that I'm back in the final,
Yeah.
and there's something very that just pulls at my heartstrings for that.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with, he's at this point in his career. And when he was younger, they kind of, you know, think they're entitled almost, that they're good enough. It doesn't surprise them that they're there. And you see that with athletes in all sports. They seem to, you know, appreciate the ones later in their career more than the ones earlier in their career because it means more to them. They have to work harder for them. They realize over time how difficult this is. And so I think that at this point, Shane's just, yeah, and hopefully what he's doing with it, he's just enjoying the moment and he's not going to get overwhelmed
Well,
by it.
he said that, Mike, the past 3 days that we've talked to him, right? And he's shown it, because he really has looked very, even though he's saying that he's not, he's looked very free. He's looked real loose. Um, and I agree with you. If he can go and pull that off, I think he's got. I don't want to say a puncher's chance because then that makes me seem like I'm putting him as the underdog, and I'm not because he's Shane Van Boening and plays great nine ball. It's just Albin is Albin is tough to fade, man. I mean, he really is.
But
But
he just doesn't make mistakes. So you've got to play an almost perfect match to beat him because he's not going to give you stuff like some other players will over the course of a match. They might only give you one or two, but they're going to still give you one or two during the course of. Alvin's not going to give you anything.
well, that's a great point because when we talked about Josh and Albin, Mike, I told you, I said, Josh, if Albin goes on to win it, it'll be because Josh lost it. And that didn't happen at all because Albin took it.
Yeah,
Albin was not breaking all that great, and he was still finding ways to go and get out. He was grinding, he was pushing, he was figuring out, he was going and moving, he was banking when he had to, playing safe when he had to. He was pulling out so many tools in order to go and win and just got there. And besides the 4-0 lead that Josh jumped out to, I think after that he won something like 11-3 from there or something.
yeah.
So or 11-2 from there because I think it was 11-6 was the overall. So and that's just how that's what Albin's done the last two rounds against great players. So I don't think Shane's going to go and change, the way that he approaches it any differently. He has a way of just finishing at the end, and we've seen it in so many damn majors, Mike. I mean, you pick
Yeah.
it, the international, we saw him, PLP, we've seen him, last year's World Championship, we've seen him, and he faced adversity there in that World Championship final against Omar Al Shaheen because he was down on the tail end of that match as well. Um, the only thing is Shane likes winter break, and
Yeah.
we saw it against Mika, 10-2, 10-3, whatever it was. And he comes back and wins. I know he got a little bit of a roll there with that one missed ball, and then he ended up leaving a jump shot. Um, I hope it's his time, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna shy away from my where my heart's going here. I really do. I hope it's his time.
Yeah, I do too. I hold some, one thing that I hold on to is I think Shane played Albin last time he played him, and it was in World Pool Masters before he lost to Kazakh. Didn't he play Albin in the semifinal? And he absolutely steamrolled him. So I think that was the case. If
I
not,
don't recall, Mike.
not
If
100%,
it is, yeah, that's that.
something that I'm holding on to.
Let's call Shane right now and let him know that. Did you remember that? Yeah,
So yeah, it should be epic. I hope it lives up to expectations. I certainly don't expect either one of them to all of a sudden start missing balls. So it
right.
should be, either someone is going to put on a spectacular display and run 8, 7, whatever, or it's going to be a slugfest. And can't wait to watch it.
Well, here's the deal. If Albin wins, he's probably the greatest nine ball player of the last 5 years, if not more. and he's certainly cementing his legacy as far as a great tournament player and
Oh,
winning just tons of and winning just major after major.
he's already there.
And right, but like to go and beat, to go and have I'm beating Shane twice. It's very it's very Eli Manning esque, of taking
Yeah,
down Tom Brady. The first time, okay, it may have been a little fluky,
yeah,
not this time, not today. And if Shane goes and wins, Shane's gonna be a world champion, and he'll never have anyone talk shit about him ever again when it comes to saying you've won everything except for a damn world title.
yeah.
So he'll forever be able to go and say that now. And he'll be introduced as much because he should, and he needs to be. He needs to be introduced as this is the world champion Shane Van Bonen, because there's something real special about that in our sport, Mike. In all sports rather.
Yeah, it's
But
the worst. Yeah.
all right, Mike. So go out on a limb here. Give me a score. Give me a winner.
Um, Shane 11-9.
You got a nail biter. I think are they playing the 13, Mike?
I did not. I did not know whether the first release I saw when they went to 64 was that it was going to be a race to 11 throughout. So
Hold
that's
on, let me see it.
what I
Let me
remember
check.
seeing. So I don't know. Maybe it is 13. I thought that I
Mm,
read that from 64 down it was going to be 11, but I could be wrong. If it's 13,
no, it's 13.
I'll
I
go.
just
If it's 13, I'll go 13-10.
yeah, I'm looking at the Matchroom email right now. It's 13.
It's 13,
13-10.
13-10 Shane.
That's still a nail biter, Mike.
Oh yeah, it's. I don't see anybody running away, but I could be wrong. I'd be surprised if it does. So we'll see what happens.
We
You?
can't have two, like Jim's gonna turn over in his grave if he hears us have two Americans on here and just both of us pick Shane to go and win. But that's what's gonna happen because that's what I'm gonna do too. So I I'm gonna go 13-6. I don't want it to be close. I don't want it to be disrespectfully out of line either. Where it's a runaway. Um, I hope Shane catches a gear. I hope Albin kind of bites back in the middle of it, and then I hope Shane just picks up where he leaves off and just starts hitting them with fours.
Yeah.
Um,
I would love.
and
I would love to see if Shane wins. I would love to see him win. You know, with a 4 pack or a 5 pack, and just kind of
Right.
run it.
Oh yeah,
That
because
would.
I don't want it to be like it's been the last two rounds, Mike, where Shane's at 8 going to 11, and then all of a sudden the wheels come off and everyone gets back in the game. That I definitely do not want to see with Albin coming in my rearview mirror. I can promise you that I do not, because Albin is not that guy who you want to go and give that opportunity to.
Yeah.
Um, but that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping will go and happen. But would I be surprised if it was the other way? No,
No.
I wouldn't
No.
be.
This. Yeah. This two big hitters going at it in the finals, so anything can happen. What I don't expect to happen is for them to both start missing balls.
Yeah,
One of
no, no, no.
the other, or
It's
it could be a slugfest, where they're both running 3, 4 packs at each other at a time. But what I don't expect is all of a sudden this turn into a 3 cushion match.
they're both very, very special players,
Yep.
and they're both gonna be the number ones on the Mosconi Cup. They're both just monsters of any game, but especially 9 ball, because I don't think Albin holds a candle to Shane in 10 ball. Um, and this is just setting up to be, you know, like a heavyweight boxing fight, Mike. They're gonna go and punch each other. They're gonna go and hit them with a few. They're gonna go and keep each other sitting down for a while. And at the end, one of them's gonna be a world champion, and I hope it's gonna be a new world champion, Mike. That's all I'm gonna say.
I agree with you 100%.
All right. Well, listen, we appreciate everyone that's been joining us this whole week. It's been a lot of fun. Me and Mike and occasionally Joey. And I did invite Joey to come on. He's there rooting Mika out on his soccer game. So shout out to Mika. Hope he does well. Oh, Micah, sorry, Micah, at the soccer game. So um and Joey's being responsible parent. So I'm not gonna go and hate on him for that. But we missed
So
you, buddy, for sure.
we also have to shout out to Nick DeLeon, who was getting us the Shane feeds after his match.
Oh man, yeah,
That was huge.
that cannot be understated. Nick has been Nick has been the MVP for me this week. He's been giving me updates on matches. He'll call me Facebook Live, not Facebook Live, but Messenger, FaceTime, right? When like there's a Hill match that's not on TV, and even though like it's all grainy and pixelated and I can't see anything, I'm still there like this, hoping that the picture clears up and I can see if he's on the 6 ball or the 2 ball. You know, um, Nick's been just fantastic and a bunch of help, and we yeah, we owe him for sure. So, but yeah, thanks for everyone for joining us. And Mike, as always, you're always appreciated and always welcome. And hopefully we'll be able to talk tonight and we'll do something and just talk about the final. And hopefully it's an epic conversation as well.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
All right, buddy. We appreciate you and we'll see you guys later on. Enjoy the final.